You know what?
Good morning.
Good morning, good
morning,
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yeah, whenever you're
Good
listening.
night.
Right, good night. Whenever you're listening to this, have something good. Whatever it is. I don't know. What the hell was that? Anyways, let's just get into it. This is like, you know what's so crazy, guys? Like, we're about to talk about some serious topic, but the vibe and the mood of
The
us,
energy is just high and good
yeah,
right now.
the energy is so positive. It's so high energy that it's like gonna be a little, it's gonna be a little interesting how we gonna fall into.
Wait, feel it. You gotta feel it.
Right, we're gonna dive into Rkelly Part 2. We gonna die. But I'm not the singer.
I mean,
Jay's the singer. So he could probably tell you guys a little bit better and dive into the situation.
yeah, we're gonna dive in. We're just gonna play it cool right now.
Exactly. So, it's Friday night. We're a little bit litty. But
Baby, you watch me stroke, left stroke, back stroke,
front
right
stroke. Get it.
I don't know the words, but
What? I don't know either. I'm sorry. Okay, so
I'm sorry, I had to break out into a moment of singing.
no, it's okay. I appreciate that because I love music.
I love music. I
know.
love old school music. I'm young.
I
I'm
know.
20, I don't know none of my music. That's my generation, but that's cool.
You know what? That's how it is. I think for some of us, I love music from. Well, I love music from my generation, but I also
2000s and 90s.
right from the late 80s,
80s,
90s, and early 2000s. But right, oh my God, that was. You know what? Let's just talk about this for a second. My favorite artists are hands down, Janet Jackson.
Okay.
And well, back then when I was younger, it was Janet Jackson, Bobby Brown, and Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Those were my three.
Okay, Whitney win though. Whitney win.
I get so emotional,
Like up until
baby. Every time I think of you,
Get it.
I get so
Get it.
emotional, baby. And there's nothing love can do.
Wait. Whatever you want.
All right, Jay.
Whatever you need.
Don't hurt him now.
I ain't gonna do it. No more song.
Anything you want done.
Get it. Go for it.
baby, I'll do it. I don't
You're gonna
think
do it. You gotta get loud.
natural.
No, you gotta get loud. You gotta take it up.
I can't sing.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna embarrass myself and miss all my notes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
But
drinking.
I've been drinking. Anyways, guys, we're gonna try our very best
Shift gears.
to shift gears and talk about Rkelly.
Smiling too much.
Which is listen, this is the thing. I'm low key tired to talk about Rkelly.
For
Real
real,
talk.
For real.
Because I already kind of, for the longest time, I kind of already just never really started checking for him for the last 10 years.
Now everybody checking for him again.
But, the documentary kind of reconfirmed, why we should continue not checking for him. And so I was like, let's just do a part 2. And then when I Googled his ass, it was today, probably yesterday. Well, today is, it's technically Saturday. But anyway, Friday, the 18th, Sony has decided to dissolve its working relationship with Rkelly. And that was on Variety.com. So that's a big deal. Sony is his record label.
So he's gone. He's been dropped.
He's been
done.
officially
Dropped.
dropped. I don't know. I think it's about time. I think it's a
So
big deal.
Are they actually dropping him, or is he is it the distribution? What is it? Is he? Because I know one of his shows got canceled.
Right.
The last show he was trying to book, it got canceled here. But are they actually officially dropping him from the label, or?
Well, yeah, it says no. Yeah, it says no external announcement of the move is planned in the immediate future, says a source who added that the company took its time to wade through the issues, quote, responsibly, and avoid any illegal ramifications. So they were really careful not to make sure they dissolved the contract without making sure they were going to get penalized or sued in return. And it says that R. Kelly was removed from the RCA Records website, which lists the label's signed artists, shortly after 10 a.m. on Friday, January 18th.
Essentially.
Yeah. Kelly's back catalog will remain with RCA/Sony. Kelly's last release with the label was a Christmas themed album in 2016. Although he has released several songs independently since that time, presumably, every time I thank you. Every time we do this podcast late, and I had a couple drinks, I sound like a babbling brook. Like I can't. I swear to God.
You have to explain, what is a brook?
A brook is like a
babbling.
It's not like a. It's an expression.
Like a babbling brook.
Yeah, it's not a body of water. It's like a little, like a section of the river.
Oh, you mean like the brook, like a river brook, like
a river brook.
Okay, I thought you were like okay.
That that bubbles and it's the bubble part is considered babbling. Like bloop, 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 bloop. Anyway, that's too much. I don't know. Google it if you don't know what a babbling brook is.
A babbling brook. Okay.
Google it, people. I'm sorry. Anyways, so he released several songs independently since that time, presumably with Sony's consent, and tweeted earlier this year that he has a new album on the way. So he's, I guess Variety they're saying that the inside company says the reps for both RCA Records and its parent's company, Sony Music, declined to comment.
Well, I don't know if this is true. This is just my take. I feel like it's something that they kind of have to do, right?
Right.
Because everybody, the cancel culture is coming around and it's hitting R. Kelly. It's like, for them to put out anything as a label, it would be that they're automatically okay with his behavior. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they're kind of in a wall where they have to. What else can they do but drop this guy? What else can they do?
Right, and that's true, because it says that Sony's move comes after years of public calls and even a petition from members of the hashtag Mute R. Kelly movement for the company to part ways with Kelly. Those commissioned by the women's organization Ultraviolet and carrying a sign that read, RCA Sony dropped sexual predator R. Kelly, flew over Sony Music's Los Angeles offices, and a protest was staged outside of Sony's New York headquarters. And it says that, but an insider notes that efforts to extricate Sony from its contract with Kelly has been ongoing for, for several months before the plane had no influence. But I don't know. I think that the hashtag Mute R. Kelly kind of made a big impact, because I think it was came right before this whole Surviving R. Kelly documentary.
It's like, what can you do as a label? If I'm the label and this artist, all these things have come out, I'm going to try to continue to milk the money off of it. But now this documentary comes out where it calls out people for supporting him. What can I really do? I have to drop you.
Yeah.
You got to go.
You do. You got to go. I mean, it's a bad look for Sony Music to keep him.
To keep him, it's like you're condoning it.
Right, and plus his music, come on now. Age ain't nothing but a number. It has a whole new crazy meaning.
I feel like R. Kelly is canceled already. R. Kelly is he's just done. We're just done with R. Kelly.
I know, it's just done data.
Just done.
Dropped R. Kelly, and it was about goddamn time. So that was kudos to Sony for stepping up and doing their damn thing and letting R. Kelly go. So I was looking for I was just searching R. Kelly. You know, just sometimes you gotta put a name in Google search
And figure out
and
what you get.
see what the top stories are.
Exactly.
And one was interesting. It was like R. Kelly's former manager, James Mason, has reportedly surrendered to authorities. And I was like, what?
Is that like recent, or is it like?
Yeah, this was recent.
Wait, was that the one that was on TV talking about something he knew and he signed off for the paperwork for? Is that one?
I think so. And he said, and it says James Mason gave himself up in Georgia on Friday. CNN reporting citing law enforcement officials. What the hell's wrong with me? Mason is accused of threatening the father of Timothy Savage, whose daughter Jocelyn is featured in the 6-part Lifetime documentary Surviving R. Kelly.
Okay.
Right. I guess he was wanted on a warrant related to threats he allegedly made against Savage in May 2018. So, according to Savage, which is the father of Jocelyn, who's the girl that's currently, involved with R. Kelly, is saying that Mason, R. Kelly's former manager, called him in the afternoon on the 23rd of May and told him, I'm going to do harm to you and your family. When I see you, I'm going to get you. I'm going to expletive kill you. I'm just going to insert. He probably said, I'm going to fucking kill you. And so a warrant was later issued for terrorist threats and acts. So, I mean, I think everything is coming to a head, to be completely honest, with this whole R. Kelly thing and his team. Everything is like coming to a head. All the scandals is like, everybody is like translating into like actual, what was the word I want to use? Actual, I don't know what word I want to use.
Like what? Like participant? Like,
no, it's like, his behavior for so long kind of has been like kind of going on like unchecked.
Well, it's at the point now where like you can't deny. It's at the point where like everything is hitting the head, and it's like either you're on that side or you're not at the side. And I think it's also with the culture of today, because now there's the whole Me Too movement and everything. You can no longer straddle the fence. Either you say you agree with somebody on something. It's like the whole Trump thing. Like, either you're like, you are, you ain't. There is no like middle ground anymore. You know what I'm saying? So if you stick with, if you say anything supporting of R. Kelly, then
it's almost like you're like
condoning.
Right,
the
you
behavior.
Definitely are
okay
condoning the predatory behavior.
So they can't anymore. Like, everything has to kind of take a head. Everybody has to kind of, it's all coming out. That's why the label is dropping him. The label's dropping him because if they keep their mouth quiet now, there's no place for anybody to hide anymore.
Right.
You can't be like, oh, well, we didn't know. We don't know. After this documentary in the beginning of 2019, like, what can you say? Can you be like, I don't know?
You can't ignore
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah, like, you can't ignore it. And that's the thing too, is like everything is almost like the documentary kind of pieced together the missing
links of was it not,
and put together like all these pieces so you can see the big picture.
Because the Pied Piper shit, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but the Pied Piper shit was that, I read that, I had never, honestly I'll admit, I never had read up on it, what it really was, like the actual German story where it came from.
Right.
But I read it the night that we finished the first one, and I'm like, it gave me chills like driving home reading that shit.
Wow.
Like the actual story of like the Pied Piper.
Right. So
and I'm thinking them right now, just like that. It's creepy. Like.
So like educated, because I don't even know the full.
So it's
Pied
literally
Piper
a
story.
guy in Germany who's like he was a flute player, and like he came to the village. I don't remember what he was selling. He was trying to get them to buy something or something like that with his music. He could. Oh, it was like rabbits or something. They were like infested with rabbits or something like that. Some animal. And he would play his flute charmer to get them to come out of that neighborhood. And it would like lead the animals out or whatever. And he told them something like, if you don't pay me, or you'll pay me, or something like that. He said they didn't pay him. The village did something where they didn't pay him or something for his services after he got rid of the rodents or something.
Right.
And once he did that, once they didn't pay him, he came back with his flute and played the flute, and led all the kids out into the wilderness at night, never to be found or heard from again. That shit gives me chills just talking about it. Like, that shit is so, like, it's so creepy. Like, it
is very creepy.
And then you as a, like, I never knew that's, what black person knows that? We don't know no fucking story about no Germany leading kids out of, like, into the, wilderness.
I heard about it, but I thought it was, like, you know, I think sometimes you take for granted, think it's like a little fairy tale, like, story.
But no, like, that's the, like, creepy, real story, like, taking kids away with the flute, and, like, they were never heard from again in wilderness. Like, they vanished. And it's like, we're talking about a guy who called himself the Pied Piper.
Yeah.
Like, that's some creepy shit.
Right, he's like the real life.
Yeah, like, that's some really creepy, like,
very
disturbing,
creepy.
Like, why? And as black people, I never knew. I just thought I never knew as a kid, because I grew, like, through Rkelly, I never knew what the fucking Pied Piper was until now. Like,
I don't think many people
chilling.
In our community, or even communities of color, really know about it. Like, some people probably did, but not everybody. I don't think everybody knew, and that's crazy.
It's crazy
because that's exactly what he's doing.
Exactly, and
he's luring these young girls into, you know, his house, you know, to be
through your music.
Like, what did he call them? His little pets.
And through your music, like, your music is this thing that is sexually driven. It's something that is enticing to people's ears, even if you put it on a surface level. It's something that's enticing to people's ears, something that people like, people love, and really, here you are talking about some shit that's actually not legal,
right?
And everybody's just like, I get why he calls himself that, because it's like, it's the idea of, through music, I'm leading you down this. He's not literally leading, you know, even if physically he's not leading you to his house, mentally he's distracting you with his sound,
right? He's like
to make
almost
you
like
oblivious to what's going on.
Exactly.
And it's crazy that, like, somebody can call themselves that and know they're doing this thing the entire time.
And it's like right in front of everybody's
but
face.
I'm playing my music, and your mind is not realizing that you're leaving, and you don't know what's going on. That I'm doing these things that are, like, not right, but because my music is so good, and that's exactly what the Pied Piper did. He played his flute, and the kids just followed him, like, oh, it just sounds so delightful, and it's just so, like,
crazy.
It's crazy.
He captivated his audiences, like even his fans, but more so he captivated young girls.
True.
With that music, and have lured them into his little sex house, and they became his little pets.
Little pet.
And, like, he was very abusive to them and stuff like that, and it's just crazy. Like, a lot of, like, basically he was committing statutory rape. Like, I mean, real talk, if we're gonna be real about it, like, most of the girls he dealt with was like, what, 15, 16, 17, and that's where he, like, got them, you know, at a young age, so he could manipulate them. And basically, statutory rape is just sexual activity with an individual is below the age of consent, and it varies. Like,
it varies from state to state.
Right, like
what they consider. Well, not even state to state. Country.
No, state to state too. Because you're right.
But, you know, he still has that show, which is actually weird. He still has that show going on. I don't know how true this is. I watched it on Breakfast Club, you know. But apparently he has a show going on in Germany, where he's still going to be performing, because the age of consent in Germany is 15.
Yeah, and you know, in some states within United States, the age of consent is anything below the age of 14 and up, and sometimes it's 13 and up. But it's really tricky.
And how do you feel about that?
Like, it's like so weird. Like, for example, I got a shank.
Okay.
Yes, you know, it's hard. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay.
13.
So, like, in Michigan, for example, it says first-degree criminal sexual conduct is sexual penetration with someone under age 13. And it says third-degree criminal sexual conduct is sexual penetration with someone between age 13 and 16. So it's weird. It's like even in like United States, we have like different laws. Like okay, for California, like
what does that say? At least in the actor is at least 5 years older.
Right. So which one are you talking about? Like
Maine. I thought it said 5 years. I'm about to say, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's like a real thing. It's like it's a thing, guys. It's like, you know, depending on what state you're in, it's a whole. They have like different like factors that play into whether you are committing a crime of statutory rape or not. And it's really interesting. I was like, okay. And then, for example, in Massachusetts, it says criminal inducement to get a person under age 18 of chaste life to have unlawful sexual intercourse. So they say anybody 18 years or younger.
Which is essentially, that's the thing I'm not understanding. Shouldn't that be how it is? Because like an adult is not allowed to have sex with. You're not considered an adult until you're technically 18. Really, you ain't an adult until you.
Right.
That. But like, you're not considered to be an adult until you're 18. So that's why I'm like, I don't get it. Like, why are there laws for before that? Like, why is it 16? Like, oh, if I have sex with a 16-and-a-half-year-old, it's okay.
Right. So the crazy thing, it says first degree criminal, like, okay, in Minnesota, it says first degree criminal sexual conduct is sexual penetration with a victim under age 13 and an actor, so the person that's their sexual partner, more than 36 months older. So
I get what it's saying.
So that's like more than what
12, that's 3 years.
3 years, right?
So you can't be.
If you're 13,
you can't be 18 sleeping with a 13-year-old, but you can be 17 sleeping with a 13-year-old.
Yeah, and it's that, and so that's interesting.
Which is still like borderline not right, because you could be 18 sleeping with a 14-year-old, and it's not illegal.
Right. But so what he was doing was sleeping with 14, 15-year-old when he was 27, when he was 28, 29, 30. So that's terrible. That's like 15 years difference.
Yeah.
That's like totally statutory rape. He was committing statutory rape, guys. Point blank. Period. If anything, because I think I was reading on the last episode that Chicago, Cooks County was looking into and investigating against Rkelly, and he for sure has committed statutory rape, like for sure. Like, that's crazy. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. Like, it just depends. Like, and even in California, it just says anyone who engages in an act of unlawful sexual intercourse with a person under age 18 who is more than 3 years younger than the actor is guilty of either a misdemeanor or a felony. So you can't, if you're under the age of 18, the person, if you're having a sex with person more than 3 years, who is more than 3 years younger?
When you talking about this one, any person who is 21?
Right. Anyone who engages in unlawful sexual intercourse with a person under age 18 who is more than 3 years younger than the actor is guilty of either a misdemeanor or sexual. So if I'm having sex with somebody that's 3 years younger than me, if I'm like, I guess 20.
17.
Yeah. Dating somebody 17, that can be a misdemeanor or a felony. And it says any person 21 years of age or older who engages in an act of unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor who is under 16 years of age is guilty of a misdemeanor or felony.
Wait, that's not clicking to me. Why is that not clicking?
Okay.
Anyone who engages in an act of unlawful sexual intercourse with a person under age 18. Okay, I got that. Who is more than 3 years younger than the actor.
So then it's saying that, okay, if someone engages in sex with a person who's under 18, and the person that if you're having sex with somebody that's under the age of 18, who is more than 3 years younger than you, that's considered statutory rape in California.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And then it's saying if you're 21 or older, if I have sex with somebody who is under 16, that's statutory rape in California.
Well, isn't that already proven in the first line, though?
I'm
like, wait, I'm confused. Okay.
Well, I guess like they just have to make it clear.
Because I'm like, it's like if you're 18 and you can't have, if you're 20 and you can't have sex with somebody who's 17, then of course you would be 21 and you can't have sex with somebody who's 16.
Who is 16? Who is under 16?
Yeah, of course. Then.
So
because you're already gonna be a
21,
statutory rape if you're 20 and you can't sleep with a 17-year-old. So of course the 22-year-old can't sleep with somebody who's 15, right? It's
right.
Yeah. But that's what it's saying. That's what it's
exactly.
saying. Okay, I just want to make sure I got it right. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
It's just the wording of it. It's just the wording of it.
Okay.
But the crazy thing is that if Rkelly would have married Aaliyah in California, he would have been convicted of a misdemeanor or felony because he was over 21 and she was under 16.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He would have been in the jail. I don't know what the fuck happened, but he should have been in the jail and nobody put his ass in jail. And that's the problem with rape culture. And that's what we're going to talk about now because it's like, you know, people don't want to, I don't know, maybe they do. I just don't hear it. They don't want to admit that there's a rape culture that we have currently in America. And just to give a definition, it says rape culture is an environment in which rape is prevalent and in which sexual violence against women is normalized and excused in the media and popular culture. Rape culture is perpetuated through the use of misogynistic language, the objectification of a woman's bodies, and the glamorization. Oh, Lord.
Glamorizing?
Basically.
Glamorization?
Yes, help me, Lord. Glamorizing sexual violence, thereby creating a society that disregards women's rights and safety. So, I mean, have you ever heard about this, like, rape culture?
What do you mean?
Like, have you heard the term, like, rape culture before?
Well, yeah, rape culture, yeah. I've heard the term rape culture, yeah. But, I mean, as far as, like, I've always just equated it, now if I speak out, I don't know if this is, I always equated it to being something that is, like, essentially could lead to rape, that enforces the idea of rape. So, like, over, like the comfortable, I don't know, like, what was it? What was something I was watching? Oh my God, I can't remember what it was from. But it was like the grabbing of, back in the day, the grabbing of a woman's hand was a way that you let her know you were into her. Like you could grab a woman up. In the back in the 90s, it's like, oh, excuse me, miss. Like, that was a way of like letting. But nowadays, that's viewed as like, if I was to see a woman on the street and I was to grab her, like, hey, excuse me, it's like,
oh, like, yeah, don't touch me, like, what you call?
But we didn't realize that
like,
those things
I
were
would
like,
karate chop your ass.
Yeah,
like, you can't do that. You know, might get hurt.
But those things could be said to be like enforcing rape culture is what I heard somebody's opinion on it, because it's like it could be because that idea of grabbing somebody, or is that, I don't know if I'm on the right wavelength. Maybe I feel like I'm skating. I don't know if I've always been a little confused with like rape culture.
Right, and that's true, because even for me, sometimes I needed to look this up, because I was like, okay, what is the definition of this? And basically, they say that rape culture affects every woman. The rape of one woman is a degradation, terror, and limitation to all women. Most women and girls limit their behavior because of the existence of rape. Most women and girls live in fear of rape. Men in general do not. That's how rape functions as a powerful means by which the whole female population is held in a subordinate position to the whole male population, even though many men don't rape, and many women are never victims of rape. This cycle of fear is a legacy of rape culture, and this was
I was looking at the examples.
yeah, okay. So then, right, so examples of rape culture says blaming the victim, like saying that she asked for it, or trivializing sexual assault. Oh, boys will be boys. That's just guys. Dudes always trying to like grab up on your booty. Because I remember going to the club back in the like late 90s and early 2000s. I know I'm an old guy, so I don't look it, but I am. And like going to the club and getting like groped or grabbed on was like a thing that, not that I was expecting, because I kind of had I was, I had some junk in the trunk. So it's like I knew like that happens sometimes. And like the crazy thing is that I think men kind of got away with it, because in the club atmosphere, you can't really tell who groped you because you're going through a big crowd of people.
Yeah.
So you can't tell, like, okay, you turn around and you look and you're like, who grabbed my butt? You're like, you don't know who it is, because it was like a big old group of people. And, it wasn't right, but it's just like one of those things, like, now that I look back on it, it is like, it does kind of like normalize that kind of like behavior, because I just thought like, oh, that's just like, I go to the club, if I'm wearing a tight dress or whatever, like, and I'm going through a crowd of dudes, like they be trying to grab and feel on your booty. And let's oh my god, I just thought about it. Rkelly had a song,
feeling on your booty. That's true though.
And that's the crazy shit.
But can we talk about something?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, because I'm always interested to know this. What is being, because I feel like we still have to identify the line. Mm-hmm. What is being a man and going after what you want, and what is being enforcing rape culture? What is being too aggressive, and what is being interested?
Right.
Because we have to define that now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a lot of nowadays, like with the conversation I had earlier, like it's often portrayed, and this is something that leads to toxic masculinity as well, where it comes to the idea of like women don't want no bitch.
True.
But at the same time, you don't want to enforce rape culture. You
Right.
want to show that you're interested. You want to show that you do want what you want. Men,
mm-hmm.
women like men,
mm-hmm.
and that's the idea that's enforced a man who's
Right.
gonna get what he wants. But at what point in time? Do we know what the line is? And I'm just being devil's advocate, right? Not devil's advocate. Not that I'm sticking up for this shit anyway. I'm just saying.
No,
like,
you're bringing up a good
like,
point, because like sometimes I think a lot of men probably think like you, that they don't know like how to make sense of it all, how to navigate it, how to still be a man or themselves.
Well, no, I think you can. Well, because I mean, my shoes perspective, like I'm the type of person to walk up to somebody and talk to them,
right? Well,
and just have a conversation.
Okay, there you go. That's the answer to it, because you shouldn't invade anybody's personal space and just automatically think you can touch them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You definitely have to read the temperature. I've never been that
type of person to be like, I'm gonna touch somebody I don't know.
Right. Let me grab them and grab up on them and stuff like that. Yeah, that's not cool. Like, I mean, I think like, if you're.
But
say if you're holding on somebody's arm, like, hey, how you doing? Or shoulder, maybe that's okay. But like if you're grabbing somebody's like butt,
well, yeah,
like a woman's butt, or like her breast, or something like that, like, or her waist, like that could be kind of, a little too aggressive. And in some ways it could be, it could be, just normalizing a little bit of the rape culture. And like,
no, it does though. It normalizes it. It makes it, that idea of always, I I like the one pressure on men to score. Like,
yeah.
if you put that idea in your head that you have to fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, like, that's a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know it wasn't college. Like, that was a common thing amongst. I've never been that type. I'm just the type to be like, oh, I want to sit and talk to you and figure out who you are.
Right.
But I've been around people who are like, nah, like, fuck all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to smash, and like that's what it's about. And like, it's almost like you have to go into a lane of like, what is redefining masculinity?
Right. I mean,
because.
Yeah, you're right. It's just.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going off into a little tangent, but
no,
like,
go ahead. No,
like,
go ahead, because we need to talk about it.
Because I mean, it's real essentially. I mean, what is your end game? You have to address all the angles then. So is it about fucking?
Yeah.
Because that idea of going out to the club and trying to get somebody to score.
Right, or that's the thing. Defining manhood as dominant and sexually aggressive.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. We do definitely have to redefine what it is to be masculine. And oh my God, I just thought about like 10 episodes right now.
For real.
Just like,
series.
just because like, I think that, that's like a whole different thing. It's just like so much. Because I don't think, a man's masculinity for women, or for me, in my perspective, is based on how aggressive he is, or how dominant he can be. I'm definitely
that's you, but
that's
then
me
there's a lot of culture, there's a lot of pop culture that is circled around, like you see in movies, you see in shows. I want a man who's gonna lead. A man who's gonna take my hand and let me be a woman, and let me be feminine, and let me be. And I don't have to worry about doing these things. I don't have to worry about, and it's that's very. What is the line there?
That's true. It's a very thin line, and I think that, for me, I will say that I think women kind of tend to want somebody, not everybody, but like a woman, like for example, be like, I just want a man to like, walk in the door, grab my hair, or grab me and kiss me and just take me down. You know what I mean?
And see, if you play that back,
and be aggressive, but
if you play that back, that sounds like, if you change the connotation of it, I want a man to walk in the door, grab me,
right,
and take me down.
Right, I'm
you
just
know what
saying,
I'm saying?
I think they're talking. I think when women talk about that, they're talking about either in a sexual way,
yeah.
And they're talking about like either their boyfriends, their husbands,
somebody they're comfortable
their
with,
lovers,
in that position.
Right? Not a stranger, not somebody that they're not giving consent to.
Yeah.
So I think men just need to like understand that. Just like, I don't think men are stupid.
No.
And I think that they know what is right, what is wrong.
You know what the thing.
Right.
You know when you're being inappropriate and when you're not being appropriate. Well, you know when you're being inappropriate and when you're being appropriate. You know what is what. But it's like it. I don't know. I ask that question because I know there's a lot of people out here, especially I feel like there's younger. The older you get, the more you start to figure out things. But I feel like the high school era, the pre-college era where you're trying to figure that stuff out, there's still a lot of people. Then again, there's still some grown men, Rkelly.
Right.
There's still a lot of people who are in that mindset still. You know what I'm saying? Who are like very like, well, I have to be in control. I have to be powerful. I have to be the one that's dominant, and that leads to rape culture.
Exactly, and even women too, like us have to be like submissive and sexually passive, like. And I think like more nowadays women are more, because you can tell it with the slut walk and like different like women that are out there on social media and in the media that is like, reclaiming their feminism and taking back their power, that's trying to change this rape culture. And I think that they do a good job at that because of that way. But I think like, women, we need to just not necessarily, I don't think this is deep, but I think that it's okay for a woman to be submissive if in a marriage and in a relationship, but I think it has to be the right man, the right situation. It has to. It is. I think that that's okay, but because sometimes I think women nowadays think that they have to be so aggressive, and that could like affect their, them finding a husband and stuff like that. But I know that's kind of like off topic, but yeah, that's a whole nother. We'll talk about that in another episode. But what else I wanted to talk about?
I'm sorry, I threw it off.
No. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
It's such a compacted. It's just such
It's just
like when you really go into like
masculinity and femininity.
Femininity,
I think we're gonna have to talk about that.
So many things that
in another episode
shape people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, it's a very interesting topic.
That enforce rape culture, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much stuff within these gender roles that we talk about that like are
affect everything.
And
like,
they create
these problems that we have in our society. And so how can we combat rape culture? It says avoid using language that objectifies or degrades women. So yeah, just stop saying like, what? Oh, that girl, she a hoe or something like that. And it says speak out if you hear someone else making an offensive joke or trivializing rape. So I mean that's important. Like I personally never heard nobody trivializing or making a joke of that would be.
It's crazy.
That's so evil.
It's crazy that is that a real thing. Like that the people are out there doing that though.
Probably. I'm sure they are.
I feel like that's behind. You got to be behind closed doors. You have to be behind closed doors to be in 2019 doing shit like that.
Right.
You have to.
Right.
There's no way there's no way you're doing that shit out in public.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. So if you're a man and a woman comes to you and she's your friend and she tells you she's been raped, take her seriously. Be supportive. Like, don't question her. Like, just be there for her, and that's one thing you can do. And this is what I was talking about at the club. Be respectful to others' physical space, even in casual situations. So if you in a club, just be careful not to just like think it's okay to just grab a woman's booty. Like, that's not cool. So just be mindful of that. It says always communicate with sexual partners and do not assume consent. So that's an interesting one. I think that we all can relate to as men and women. Like, I mean, what's so interesting? Like, now that I think about like all my sexual experiences, I don't remember having like necessarily it's a straight up conversation. Like, or this, like, yes, I'm giving you consent to like to go there.
No,
it's kind of like it's a thing that's kind of like automatic in a way for me, because it's like, okay, if we're in a situation and we're kissing or making out, foreplay, whatnot, and I'm not stopping you and I'm letting you go ahead and fill up on me, do whatever, go there, I think that is giving my consent, because I'm not saying no.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, but that's one thing that would be interesting, because I was like, do people really have those conversations when they're having sex? Like, I mean, or just getting in the moment, like do men ask that question?
Well, it depends on the type. I feel like it depends on the person, because that's another aspect of assuming that, if a guy is in a dominant one-to-one soliciting in the beginning, but like my times are kind of like yours. Like, it's always been because I haven't said no.
Right.
Like, it's never been like, it's like, oh, we in the moment and it's like, it's happening and that's what it is and I'm just down for it. It's never been like,
it's like a serious...
Are we about to, like, okay, we're going to do this? Are we, like...
Right.
Yes, sure. It's always like,
right.
Either I'm down or, like, I'll curve you to a point where you know.
Right.
Because most normal people know when you, like, if you're about to make that move and I'm like,
You kind of
and I'm just like, or I walk away.
Right, then you already know
Around,
what time it is.
if we in the house and
right.
like you go to do something and we stand in the kitchen and I like turn and I'm like, oh okay, and then, like that's kind of your cue, like, nah, not down for it right now.
Right.
And that's kind of, you get that vibe.
That's true. It's interesting. I know. I'm like, I'm gonna have to ask about that because like I never heard of anybody even. Even my we can edit out what?
Oh no, I'm saying, is it recording?
Yeah.
Is it? Because
it's not.
Like, do you see the vocal pattern though on the thing?
No, what happened?
Like, you see how it's not like. See how here you can see what we're saying, and here it's just like.
It's not. You don't think?
It's just like a straight line.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
I don't know if I'm bugging. Am I bugging?
I don't know. I hope not, because I'll be like, all that conversation is done. It's not recording, is it?
Oh yeah, it's recording. Okay, it jumped up. Okay. I'm sorry. I had a little moment of like, maybe this shit ain't recording. Okay.
But it's just, anyway, so the main thing is to find your own manhood and womanhood. And that's kind of what me and Jay were talking about. Like, we could do a whole podcast episode, probably like a femininity and masculinity, because a lot of times it's not so in like it fits in a certain boxes, so to speak, as like Jay's on. You know what I mean?
It's out the box. For
right.
Real.
It's so crazy.
Once you step out the box, you realize how much things we have that are like constructing our minds while we're in it. Like, for real, especially when it comes to masculinity and femininity, like it. Whew.
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole nother episode of that, because it's very interesting stuff, because it's like, within yourself, like certain things would make you feel like you're a woman, or you would feel like you're a man, that necessarily don't are not textbook things. You know what I mean? So, anyways, that's one of the ways you can combat, rape culture, is to be yourself. Like, don't let society define, what it is to be a man or what it is to be a woman. Like, you let your spirit speak to yourself. Like,
undefined.
Right. Be undefined. And do not let stereotypes shape your actions. Exactly. So don't think that you have to be going out here grabbing up on women just to feel like you a man. Like, that's baloney. Like, So, it's all within us to make these small changes, and I think it's easy. I think it's not going to take that much effort. I think people can do it within themselves. I think that, sometimes, people think that they're I don't know, how can I say they're not that their purpose, but their existence in this world is like not significant. Some people think, maybe, but I think that people can make their significance known by just doing certain things that just are good for society as a whole. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, like, just be a good person. Like, be yourself. Like, don't try to fit into a box, or don't try to think you have to prove, your masculinity or femininity to anybody. If you just be like yourself, and you be true to yourself, and you kind of like listen to your instincts of what is good, then I think that, you would not contribute to rape culture. Like, you know what I mean? I think that people that turn a blind eye or act ignorant to certain things and try to be something what they're not, then I think those type of people usually contribute to rape culture.
And the truth with that is too, like, it takes, because just to touch on it, like, and for you to figure out who you are to just be yourself, it takes a lot of time.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people put that effort in. You have to put that effort in to actually figure out who you are. And once you figure out who you are, you figure out exactly what you want to be,
Right.
who you are, and then you stop trying to be everything around you that you are not.
Right.
Everything around you, you no longer, once you figure out who you are, you no longer, and you're always changing, but you know what at your core, at your soul, if you want, like you said, doing good.
Right.
You can do good when you know at your core what really makes you happy.
Right.
Then you can do it.
Right.
And it's going to be good.
Right.
I don't know. I don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Like, it takes time to figure out who you are, and you have to really put in the effort to figure out who you are, but it's rewarding at the end of the day. That's what I was trying to say.
Right. So, just to kind of like wrap up the rape culture thing, every 98 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted, and every 11 minutes, that victim is a child. Meanwhile, only 5 out of every 1,000 perpetrators will end up in prison. So, it's very important that we kind of like acknowledge that, you know, rape is happening. Of course, the Rkelly thing kind of like brought it to a head, and it's just us addressing like a broader issue. And then the part 2 was kind of like for me to kind of like fill in the blanks. I feel like that we didn't really talk about in the first episode, but I really feel like we kind of touched on a lot of stuff, but it was just like some of the stuff I felt like we didn't like go into detail on.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is that for Black, like, or African American rape victims, like it's a big thing, like for like the Black community to be like a, what do they call it, a silence kind of like culture. And I don't know why this thing is acting crazy. Anyway, so LA Times had an article that this lady, Gail Pollard Terry, wrote, and it was in 2004. And it was just interesting. She's like, there's an old saying in the African American community: Black women raise their daughters to love their sons, a legacy of the atrocities of slavery. It signifies a communal protectiveness of Black men, from the coddling of toddling boys to a reluctance to report rape and incest. So it's just like, you know, I think for a lot of times, maybe there was many women and girls, maybe Aaliyah included, just felt like, you know, they needed to protect Rkelly in a way, because he was such like an icon. He was a legend. He was like a mega producer. He was like working with Michael Jackson and all these like great people, and he was a great musician.
Well,
and you know, and they felt like, oh, we need to protect
I don't know.
our, you know, our prized possession, because he made something of himself.
Well, to be honest, I don't even think the people who are victims of Rkelly, I don't think they were really thinking in a sense of, this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Is that wrong to say? I don't think they were thinking in the sense, I don't think Aaliyah was thinking in the sense of this is wrong. I don't think the 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds he was sleeping with were thinking this is wrong. They were thinking in a sense of this is Rkelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, and maybe for Aaliyah, age ain't nothing but a number. I think she was thinking, I can't speak on what she was thinking, but I think it was Rkelly's job to realize he was doing something wrong. It's not on these girls to realize that they were in a situation like any other person who was a teenager. There's a reason that you're not supposed to be there's a reason as an adult you're held accountable and you go to jail for having sex with somebody who's young. Because
Right,
somebody
exactly.
who's young in that age, they don't see the wrong in it.
Right.
Because they don't see how young they are.
Right.
You know, so it's like, I don't even think they were like trying to protect him. I think the people around him was trying to protect their money.
Well,
and they
that's
coin.
true. But I mean, in like some subconscious way, because of what we went through as a community, as a Black community in America, our history, there's a lot of like pathology.
So you think that's us, like as the listeners,
I mean,
the supporters of Rkelly, that we were the ones that were trying to protect him?
I think
Or do you
some
think it was
people.
like the victims?
I think some people did. I don't think. I think some people did, and I still think some people do. The fans of him, they're like, oh, yeah, but no, those girls really wanted it and stuff like that. I think there's some people that do think like that, and a lot of it is that for black children, the article is saying that they have another burden. Like culturally, there's a fear of betraying the family by turning someone into the system. Like, because it says families, it's like, well, it's like, okay, listen, if you, if you grew up, especially if you're from the black community, or even communities of color, like, historically, the system hasn't really been just right for us, and has typically been a place where
we're distrusting. We don't trust that shit.
Right, it's distrusting.
We don't fuck with it.
It's very harmful. It's very abusive. It's very violent against our community. It's just not something that's safe. It's not a safe place. So, like, subconsciously, I think that what she's saying is that our community members kind of feel like, okay, well, we don't want to have them to go to jail. And you see this all the time with, like, some parents don't even want to, like, turn their children in. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to betray their children, or they don't want to see their children go away to prison. So they don't, report them, even if they know they broke the law. So, anyways, it says the black culture she refers to as a storytelling culture rooted in the South before the decline of the American apartheid. It comes with its own set of rules. So, she calls them blackisms. But basically, she's saying, like, what goes on in the house stays in the house, and
now,
that's the secrecy.
That
thing.
one I know of for sure. Like, that's a one. Like, I don't want our business out in
the street
with everybody else, where they know what's going on with us. That's true, 100%. We have that aspect, that quiet silence idea, but I think the narrative is changing. Mm-hmm. To be honest, like. Nowadays, I feel like it's more like go and speak about this shit.
Right.
And that's very old school. I think the old school things, like the old school ideas are like, which is why Rkelly is being canceled.
Right, exactly.
Because it's like that old school philosophy is like that hush hush shit is like, this is just a sign. Rkelly being outed is just a sign of the times.
Right, and it's good that we like are moving away from that. I think a lot of times that there still is some. I think part of what bringing this up was just to show that maybe why it took so long for everything to come to a head is because, like, a lot of times the black community tends to want to protect black men, even at the cost of the suffering of black women, and which is sad.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm just looking at you. I'm just saying, like, what, do you agree with that?
I mean, because,
or no?
like, I think to an extent, it's like I'm trying to look for ways in which we protect. Ways in the past that we protected black men, and I'm looking for times that's gone on.
Like,
I'm trying to think of, like, times when we've actually protected black men at the extent of.
I mean, like,
I say a lot in the church.
Right.
The church, I'd say a lot. Black church is a lot like, oh, well, reverends will be cheating, reverends will be doing X, Y, and Z, and it's determined to be a good wife to stand beside your husband.
Right.
But as far as, like, I don't know. That's one. Honestly, it's just something that's never like I can honestly say I've never really thought like I don't know. I don't know. I was just observing. Like like
I'm trying to think of examples that, like the woman that's getting physically abused by her husband, and he's the breadwinner.
But would you say that's our own black culture, or would you say that's like abusive culture? Like, would you say that that's like an abusive relationship culture?
I mean, maybe it's not necessarily
Because I'm trying to think.
like specific to the black community. I mean, all communities of any type of color deal with,
Well, I wouldn't even say like
domestic violence.
Yeah, because I'm saying that's a domestic. I think that's a domestic issue, like a domestic violence issue. That's something that goes on. That control aspect, that beating, that idea. But like, I'm sorry, I don't know.
No, I'm listening to what you're saying. Because
Like-
I mean, you do make a good point too. It's like, I guess I was saying more like, okay, so I think just in my, experience, or just, growing up, that's where I've seen certain protections against, black men, is that, when they're physically abusive, maybe to like their wives and, children, that sometimes that doesn't get necessarily reported because they need that man to be not
Locked up.
right. They need that man to be going to work, paying the bills.
Yeah.
So they just, may tend to. I mean, there could be a lot of different factors.
I'm
but
sure
I'm just
that
trying to
shit
think
goes
of
on.
like
I'm sure. Like,
I'm just trying to think of some more examples, or like when, like automatically, like say, I mean, it's not like a bad thing, and sometimes it can be like racism, like they say like stories where like let's say a white woman accuses, this is hypothetical, a black man of raping her, because historically white women have falsely accused
black men of rape.
of rape. So if you're growing up with that, with knowing that in the black community, sometimes the community will automatically be like, oh, that's racist. When in fact, it might actually happen. But because historically white women have falsely accused black women of raping them, when stories come out after all those like false accusations occurred, it's like when what's it called, the boy that cried wolf. It's like when it actually fucking happens, like the black community like is going to be like, oh, that's just some racist stuff again, because they always think like a black man's gonna like rape the white woman.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just trying to give examples.
Okay.
And that's not really touching. That's not connected. Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to get some more examples.
So you said like if a black
I'm trying to think of hypothetical reasons. Okay, I'm trying to think of.
You said like if a black guy was to rape a white woman, because we're so used to that stereotype of that, like that's just what a white woman cries against black men, and it's been times it's been proved false, there's times that has actually gone on, and we don't really believe it because we're just so used to the idea of white women lying on
because
black men.
we know that racism exists in America, that the black community may not necessarily believe or believe like the white woman necessarily, so they come and rally behind the black man, which is not a bad thing. I'm kind of trying to explain.
See,
something.
I think we like
not necessarily that I agree with that. I'm just trying to explain how sometimes the black community can rally behind a black man. That's just one example.
Okay.
So
I think like I don't know. Like I think it's like
because they say the white community is not to be trusted.
Well.
So I'm just saying, like some that's how some people think, you know, and you know that's real.
Well, that's true. It makes a very hiding spot. It makes a great. Those areas are always where it makes a good hiding place for people who are actually doing those things to hide. Because
exactly.
people, that's where people always hide it, is in the areas where like sexual deviants usually hides. They usually hide in churches.
Right.
You see a lot of gay people who hide in church.
Right.
It's really close up on it where, and not that I put those in the two. I didn't mean to put sexual deviants and gay people in the same thing. I'm just saying, like, you see a lot of, like, you see drunk. You see a lot of people who are broken. Not, oh my Lord, Jesus, not saying it like that. Okay, how am I trying to say it? Okay, you see a lot of people who hide in clear. People go to places and they hide in clear sight. The same way Rkelly hid in clear sight.
Right, like, yeah, exactly. He really did.
But in a sense, at the same time, though, I don't think that, like, I think as a culture, I think we've gotten a lot better in the sense of pointing people out. I don't think we hide. I don't think we let people hide. I think nowadays, if we're in this great awakening where we've had to go to our roots, we've had to go to our culture, we've had to rely on ourselves. We don't like. I don't know if we necessarily hide in our, like, I don't know if we necessarily will make it if we hide behind, like, if somebody was a rape, like, because take Bill Cosby, for example. Now, I'm not going to lie, I do agree with you, and 100%. When I first saw the first white woman come forward and say Bill Cosby is raped him, I'm like,
Yeah.
What secret agenda is happening now? Because here we go, this man is coming, he's been living his life, he's 70 years old, and all of a sudden, like,
right.
Now we're doing this thing. But after all the proof started to come out, it's like, nah, he probably did that shit.
Yeah, it's sad, you know, that some of the most talented, legendary, historical, like, making, like, just geniuses, like, really are pervs and predators, and it sucks, you know, because it's like, you know, a lot of times you hear about on social media, like, can you separate the art from the artist? I mean, from the art and the artist. Can you separate it?
Not in his case.
Yeah, like,
not in his case. Not in his case.
Yeah, and Rkelly's, you can't do that either.
In his case, because he talks too much. I feel like it's all about what you based your career off of. Rkelly's career is based heavily off of R&B, which is rhythm and blues, sex.
Right.
Bill Cosby was very that homey, Huxtable. You know, I'm the image for
the what do you call the forward, the progressive
black. And when you play that, when you try to play those roles, and you know you're not really living up to it, truth is always gonna come out. Now, you take Michael Jackson, accusations that was against him. That was something, but Michael Jackson wasn't portraying that he wasn't.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, he was making music to uplift people. He was a very talented musician, a very talented artist. Period. Right. It wasn't like he was like talking about fucking little kids, fucking little kids.
Yeah,
like,
he had Neverland though.
Yeah, he had that thing, but it wasn't like here's Rkelly talking about sex, and lo and behold, it's about sex with underage people.
It's crazy. It's very, very crazy. I thought I was gonna say something about what you said.
I'm drifting.
Me too.
I ain't gonna lie, I done drifted. I done slid.
It's alright, you know?
Tumbled road. Like, listen,
I feel like I need a speech class after today's episode.
I don't know
but it's okay. You know, this is like real life, guys. Listen, like, me and Jay was in a very good mood, and I have pre-planned the episode to talk about Rkelly Part 2. But we was in a good vibes.
We got a really good vibe.
We was in good vibes and was good energy. And it's like, talking about R. Kelly is a
It
downer.
It done drained me. I ain't
I
gonna lie.
know
This
it's
shit done
negative
brought me
and it
down.
sucks.
I was
But it needs to be like, it needs to be said.
I'm
So
just Lord. I'm
right.
over
So
him. I'm so
we're
over
definitely
him.
over. We are not talking about R. Kelly
I'm
anymore.
over him.
I don't care. We done. He's done. Sony's done with him. I'm done with him. Y'all should be done
I
with
don't
him.
want to hear about the fucker. He popped up on my phone today on my YouTube recommended shit, and I hit not interested. Like,
Exactly.
I just don't want it. Like,
exactly.
I'm
So just
over.
the main thing, the takeaway for me, like part two, just addressing the fact that finally, you know, record labels are starting to recognize the fact that they need to stand for something. Period. And that's good.
Record labels are on their way out anyway. I hate to say it like that, but they are.
But you know, it's a step in the good direction because you know you got to hit him where it hurts, and that's the money, that's the pocket. So maybe he'll start, you know, changing his behavior or trying to seek some help to change his behavior. And you know, we just gotta, you know, understand rape culture. Understand that, you know, sometimes we could be contributing to it subconsciously, not even realizing it. So understand that, you know, that how you move in this world, and just be mindful of it. Just be mindful of like how you treat other people, your actions, that you're not, you know, doing anything that may be taken the wrong way. Just be conscious of how you move in this world, you know. Make sure that you're not giving off wrong signals. Make sure that you're being respectful at all times, and you're not, you know, being a dick. And let's just be real, you know. If let's just be real. R. Kelly committed statutory rape. If you listen to any of or watched any of the docu-series, if anything you took away from it, it was confirmed that he knew Aaliyah was 15 when they got married, and he was 7 years old.
You know right from
and
wrong.
he got away with that shit. And I don't know.
Call everything else speculation. We all know they was
well,
married.
Exactly. They
we
was
all
married.
know R. Kelly and
They
Aaliyah
falsified
was
documentation.
We know that.
But he knew
Say what
that
you want.
girl was 15 years old and he was 27. He no matter what state he was in, real talk, he committed statutory rape and he was never charged for that shit. I don't know how he got away with that shit. A lot of money paying people off to be silent. And that's the thing we need to remember as a Black community. Like, stop being silent about fuck shit. Stop being silent about abusive behavior. Speak your truth. You know, stick up for yourself. Even if it's your family member. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, check them. Let them know what's right from wrong. And don't, what can I say? Just like, don't think that something is wrong with you because you have gone through some very disturbing experiences. If you were sexually abused as a child, or if you witnessed some things, like, don't think that you that's crazy. Anyway, don't think that you I'm getting distracted because of this video like popped up, guys. And I was like, what? I was like, how did they know I was talking about rape? And all of a sudden it's on the video about rape. But yeah, just know that, you know, if you keep your secrets, Jay knows why I'm laughing. And Jay's laughing at me because we hear some shit happening outside the damn studio. And it's fucking distracting. And I'm trying to make a point about motherfucker. Just tell all the motherfuckers. Tell all your family members. You only stick with your secrets. All right.
It's been so real with the Roast on these show.
Oh my God, I don't even know. I just think that, you know what, guys, at the end of the day, you know, the shit, I mean, obviously all the shit that we talk about is not technically fucking funny, but it's fucking late in the studio. And I think we're just over it. We're over.
I think we just over this shit.
We're just over it. We're done.
Talk about R.
I don't even know why I thought about doing part 2. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully I'm gonna insert like maybe like a. We had a very good conversation before we started this episode. That was like really fucking funny.
Maybe that should be
so
that might
yeah.
be the podcast.
So that might be the podcast, or I might insert it somewhere or whatever. But this shit is about to get hella fucking edited. Anyways, that's it, guys. Do you have any last words to say, Jalen?
Good night.
Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
It's been amazing.
Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I feel like I was on a roller coaster. And it's your girl, Sony. If you guys want to hit me up on Instagram, it's ROSONISE. And you can hit Jalen up at
JQUEUE.
So good night, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. I'm doing a new series called X-Rated with Sony's Bound Chicka Wow Wow. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. It's going to be really fun. You guys have a good night. Bye.